All right, this is now the fifth film in the Mad Max franchise. Where does it stand? Is it the best? Is it the worst? Is it somewhere in the middle? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga movie review. And if this is your first time finding me, and you happen to like the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. I will be honest with you, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought about the 2015 film with Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, Mad Max Fury Road. And I was like, you know what? I really didn't care for that movie. I didn't hate it. The first time I saw the movie, I didn't like it at all. But then the second time, I thought it was much better. But I wasn't that excited about it. So my initial expectations for this was quite low. But when we got closer to release, the trailer started looking great. I started hearing whispers on how great the film was. And so my expectations would rise more and more as we got closer to the release date. Now, this is rated R, coming in at 2 hours and 28 minutes, and I will bring up that runtime in just a moment. And it is also an action adventure science fiction film directed by Mr. George Miller, the gentleman that you see right here. He is responsible for all of the Mad Max films, and I will say that he has a special place in my heart now after watching this film. If we scroll down and just look at his filmography a little bit, he also did 3,000 Years of Longing that came out in 2022. If you've seen the film, let me know. Happy Feet 2, Happy Feet 1, Babe, Pig in the City. And like I said, he did do the Mad Max films that started in 1979, went to 81, and then 1985. And I will be honest with you, I haven't seen the first three Mad Max films to compare this one to. I've only saw the 2015 version and this one that's releasing in theaters right now. But if you've seen the entire franchise or any other films that George Miller has been in charge of, let me know down in the comment section below. But like I said, right upon release of this film, my expectations were high. The trailers look good. People that saw the film super duper early said nothing but great things. So I was ready for a good time. I wanted to eat my popcorn and just sit back, relax, and have some of the best time in the theater that I've had in a while. So before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film Furiosa is all about. As the world falls, young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers into the hands of a great biker horde led by the warlord Dementis. Sweeping through the wasteland, they encounter the Citadel, presided over by Immortan Joe. The two tyrants wage war for dominance, and Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home. All right, guys, the first thing that I really did love about this film, but not like, is that it is a visual masterpiece. It is a beautiful film to look at. While I was watching this movie, I was saying to myself on more than one occasion that I will enjoy myself watching this on mute, or if the sound was turned all the way down, because that cinematography, my goodness gracious, it was popping left and right all throughout this film. I mean, this was beautiful to look at. Like I said, you can tell that the director, George Miller, really did take his time to craft these shots to give you imagery that you're going to remember for a long time to come, because I love the way this film looked. I cannot wait to watch this again, whether it's in the theaters or at home in my own theater system that I have here. And hopefully we can get the best digital transfer when this is released for home video or streaming, because it would be a shame if they didn't take their time when they're releasing this for home media. It is unfortunate that this was not shot in IMAX. This is 239:1, but still, I'm just imagining if it was shot in IMAX, the images would be that much better, but they are still crisp, they are still clear. I cannot wait again to watch this at home on 4K. But when it comes to the sound, my goodness, I said that I can enjoy this with the sound off, with it on mute. But when you have that sound, when I was in the theater, it felt like I was at a concert. Real talk. The sound mixing, the sound design, all of the effects they put into this was some of the best that I've experienced in the theater in quite some time as well too. Please listen to me when I say this, okay? Trust me. Invest in a higher ticket price. Go ahead and pay that extra dollar for a premium theater that's going to give you the best sound available in your area, because it really does make a difference. I did see this at AMC in one of their prime theaters, and it really does make a difference. Majority of this film is shot in the desert, or the appearance of it, and I felt like I can hear everything: the wind blowing, sand hitting rocks, little insects going over pastures, water dropping, even cones of silence I could hear. It was just that dope the way everything was weaved in and out as far as the mixing and the sound design is concerned. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I think you will too. And the way that this film was crafted, I spoke earlier about the shots, but everybody involved in this film is very, very thorough, whether they're going on the offense or the defense. And again, the way that the film is shot. I was drawn in by the characters, even though I did not know their name early on, where Furiosa is just a young girl following the tailcoats of her mother. Just the way that these different clans and tribes in these wastelands execute their missions. I was like, man, what type of training did they go through to be so efficient in every move that they make? And I guess that's just what's necessary for a character's survival, but that stood out as well. And the performances were some of the best as well. We have Chris Hemsworth, who we all know is Thor, and I really do like that character. I'm a fan of Chris Hemsworth, and I really did enjoy him in this film. A lot of people may have a bad taste in the mouth for his portrayal of Thor in Thor Love and Thunder, Thor 4. He was really silly and goofy in that movie, but he's silly and goofy in this film too, but it's called for and necessary just for the situations that he's in. Early on when we meet him and he goes by Dementis, I had respect for his character, and I was also afraid of his character and liked his sense of humor. Like I said, he was silly and goofy, but it wasn't over the top to where you're just going to get annoyed by him. He was very charismatic, very arrogant and confident. And I like the way his character grew over time, because the length of this film spans over a number of years. It does take time. And he is more serious, more towards the beginning of the film, but later on is where he's kind of kooky. But I will say that's just because the environment that he's in and desperate for resources. If you see the environment that these characters in this movie are living in, it is very understandable how they can go crazy, lose their minds, or a few screws go loose in their head. And that's what happened with this character. Well, again, he is silly and goofy at times and flamboyant, which really makes his character stand out from everybody else. He's also masculine, and it's not over dramatic or unnecessary at any point in time. There was no point to where I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't like this guy. Get him off the screen. I was enjoying every moment that he was on screen. And I think most audiences will feel exactly the same as I do. I mean, when it's time to get to business, his character really does show up and show out. And so I have no complaints there. Again, I don't think anybody else will. And so great job to the writing team as they developed his character as Dementis. And now there are also other great supporting characters in this film that have their standout moments too. And they are quite memorable. But we got to talk about Furiosa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Man, I loved her in The Queen's Gambit that came out a number of years ago. And she is one of the best right now in the game as far as mainstream Hollywood is concerned. I loved her. Whether her character was a mute pretending that she could not talk, or she was giving directions or showing some type of authority to certain men that was around her. The journey that her character went through in this film was very, very compelling. It was tough. And I was over like, damn, you go, girl. I see you. You're doing what you have to do to survive. And I can do nothing but respect it. I felt sorry for her character. I sympathized with her character. And man, does her character have some skill. My gosh, she is a valuable asset, okay? If it's the end of the world, whether it's the zombie apocalypse, some post-apocalyptic world wasteland like we're living here in Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, Mad Max Fury Road, whatever, I want her on my team, okay? She knows what she's doing. She can adapt well. She can survive, and you will too if she is in your corner. I love the character. Very, very resourceful, very, very serious. Delivered all the goods that was completely necessary for you to get behind the character and root for her. She was the standout, hence the film is called Furiosa. She's the titular character, so it should, but she showed up and showed out as well, and I enjoy every moment that she was on screen too. I just gotta keep saying, she is not effing around. She will get revenge, she will get justice, she will whoop your butt if you get in the way, and I loved it. I really did. I liked her role as Furiosa more in this film than Charlize Theron played in Mad Max Fury Road that came out in 2015. She's fierce, she's ferocious, she's everything you would want her character to be. And it's just the plot of this film is just survival. People trying to fight for dominance and resources. And the way they go about it, I was just blown away. The action in this film does not disappoint at all. If you want a good action movie, please again buy your tickets for Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. There was a 15-minute action sequence in the middle of this film, at least 2, maybe 3 times. I know at least twice. I was sitting next to another creator. Shout out to Chris with 3C Films. I looked at him, I was like, man, this is so good. And he kind of just chuckled. He's like, haha, shut the F up. I'm trying to concentrate. He didn't say that, but that's just what I was imagining he was saying. But it was just so well thought out and crafted on choreograph. Doing a little research, they said that around 200 people was working on this. And this one 15-minute sequence took 78 days to shoot. And I don't blame them. I can understand why it would take so long for them to shoot this scene, because you were just like smiling like, man, how are they doing this? How was this accomplished? My head would have exploded if I tried to craft 10 seconds of what this 15 minutes was, but it was just a visual masterpiece. This should be taught in film school about how to get the job done. George Miller put all of his energy, all of his passion into not just this scene right here, but the entire film, especially when it comes to the action. I was blown away. There was no wasted movement by any character as they're fighting for resources in this 15 minutes of fandom. And I'm just like, man, everybody is giving 100%. Everybody is pulling their weight, giving 100% for effort. And it shows on screen. You can see it. You can hear it. And y'all, I was blown away. I was blown away. I'm going to say it one more time. I was blown away. I really did enjoy this film. This was super duper fun. Again, I want to see it again. My expectations were met for this film and also exceeded, if I had to be honest with you. If I had to list the bad in this film, there's 2 things. One is a nitpick, one is somewhat significant and stops this from being a perfect 10. One of the nitpicks is the film is 2.5 hours long, maybe 2 hours and 25 minutes. And it's not long, it's not lengthy. But for me personally, I don't like chapter breaks in films where the film fades to black and they say part 1, part 3, part 5 with another subtitle. Even though there can be music in the background to help the transition, for me and my personal taste, that's just very jarring to me, and I was very annoyed by that. I didn't feel that it was necessary at all. They could have just carried on to the next scene. Everything would have just been fine, but they wanted to fade to black and let you know that this was the next chapter. I really didn't like that. Also, towards the end of the film, there was one more battle, one more piece of war that they was leading up to, but they didn't actually show it. It was kind of a montage sequence like, yes, this certain war right here started here, and then it ended here, and then we're moving on. And I was like, wait a minute. I want to see that. I want to see what happened. We knew that was going to happen towards the beginning of the movie. We knew that there was going to be some type of final conflict between part A and part B, but you just rushed through it in 15 seconds. I wasn't a fan of that at all, and that really did put a bad taste in my mouth. But other than that, guys, I really did love this film. I thought it was great. And again, like I said, for the 3rd time, I think I do want to see this again. I will go ahead and give my rating for this film at the very end. But for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, helping me reach my next milestone of 75,000 subscribers. And I can only do that with your help. But guys, if I had to rate Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga out of a 1 out of 10, I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.